This is a Mr. Suit R1. I definitely should have put out a video way earlier, just like the high spec, but now that it's been months after I received and built it, I thought that I've procrastinated enough and now was a good time to put out a video on it. I was lucky enough to grab Mr. Suit during the first round of the sale. There was a lot of hype built around this keyboard due to Owllab's previous board, the Jelly Epoch, which gained a lot of popularity due to its sound profile. As a result, I knew that many people were going to try to get their hands on one, so I definitely had my adrenaline pumping as the time ticked closer. During the sale, the checkout process was a little chaotic because they originally wanted people to enter their phone numbers, but due to PayPal Express checkout not requiring phone numbers, Sierra requested that people DM their phone numbers and order numbers to him so they could pair it up. Unfortunately for them, most people use PayPal Express checkout because it's just way faster and smarter if you're trying to grab a board that is super limited in stock, so they had to send out a Google form for people to fill out because his Discord was being flooded with DMs. They eventually managed to get it all figured out, but it definitely wasn't the smoothest process. For this build, I decided to go with Hyperglide MX Black switches. I'd heard a lot of good things about them, but once I had them on hand, I was honestly somewhat disappointed. They are definitely switches that you have to lube, because in their stock form, they're pretty scratchy, with some being scratchier than others. I could also hear the springs squeaking when I pressed down on them, so I was definitely not impressed with them when they first arrived. After lubing and filming, they did sound better than before, but to be honest, I'd probably just go with the tried and true Gateron Yellows, which perform very well at a lower price. Owllabs was kind enough to include a set of their owl stabs with each order, as well as a metal artisan with the random color. For the metal artisan, I really didn't have a preference and I was just thankful to receive one for free, so I was pretty happy when I got silver. It's not the fanciest color, but it works well with the color of my Mr. Suit. The stabilizers, on the other hand, were much more troublesome. I am happy to see innovation in stabilizers, because it's one of the parts in the hobby that I hate the most. It can be really time consuming balancing the wires, or performing one of the mods out there to remove rattle or ticking, so it's always great to see more innovation. The stabilizer wires came really straight out of the box, which was promising, but after using the keys for a while, I did have a ticking sound in my set. I tried doing the Holy mod, but it still ticked and also felt really mushy because the hole for the stab wire was shrunk to minimize stabilizer rattle. As a result, I just switched them out for some OA stabs I had lying around. Those stabs also ticked at first, even though the wire was really straight, but the ticking went away, for now, after I did the Band-Aid mod. Maybe it's just an issue with the PCB or something, so I do plan on trying the Owl Stabs V1 on a different board. But I've had more trouble trying to eliminate unwanted stabilizer sounds on this board than any other keyboard that I own. Owllabs did release a V2 of their stabilizers, which had some modifications, so maybe the problem is fixed. I'm debating on whether I should get a set to test, but I'm not really sure yet as of this moment. For the keycaps, I went with my set of PBT Ichigo. A lot of my sets haven't arrived yet, so it was one of the few sets that I did have on hand, but I'm glad that it seems to match well with the keyboard. Anyways, without further ado, here's the type test. As I'm sure you can hear, the Mr. Suit has the poppy and creamy sound that is characteristic of boards that use PE foam. I personally kinda like the sound that PE foam gives, but I do know that a lot of people don't like it because it kinda just makes all keyboards sound the same. It's definitely a cheat code in making keyboards with poor acoustics sound decent, so it's a good tool, but probably shouldn't be relied on by any keyboard designer. If you're not a fan of the foam, the Mr. Suit is perfectly capable of being built without it, so you can pretty much try whatever configuration you want. I included all the foam in there because I wanted to hear and feel how the board would perform based on what the designers intended. There are a lot of type test and reviews out there with different configurations, so you can listen to them if you want, but if you want me to post some type tests with a different configuration or switches, just let me know and I'll try to post them. The typing feel of the Mr. Suit is quite nice as it is gasket mount with a decent amount of flex to it. It's not the flexiest board, so don't expect your keycaps to just sink when you press down, but you can definitely see some movement when doing so. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the board. You're getting a really great keyboard for the amount you are paying, and although the stabs give me some trouble and are quite annoying, I think that the keyboard is still really good. Now, even though I'm very late in publishing the review for this video, so much so that the round 2 sale has already gone by, there is still one more chance to get the Mr. Suit if you really want one. An R3 sale was actually supposed to occur earlier, but was delayed, so now it's going to happen sometime soon. The colors have been announced and will be purple and pink, so maybe not the colors that everyone wants, but I do think that they look quite nice. One thing that I do want to point out is that Owl Labs has messed up on some previous group buys, which is something that I mentioned in a group buy video in the past. They always did try to resolve the problem as soon as they could, but I'm sure that some people weren't satisfied with their solutions. If you are worried about these issues, I would suggest that you do your research and see if that's something you want to avoid. For me, I think that the Mr. Suit is a wonderful keyboard, and I would definitely recommend that you pick one up if you had the chance.